What if the tradition you grew up believing was completely normal was actually illegal? This is the story of a girl who discovered that the family tradition she had been raised to accept was anything but normal. In her family, girls were expected to get married almost immediately after getting their first period. It didn't matter if they were 12, 13, or 14. The family believed that reaching puberty meant a girl was ready to become a wife, and the husbands were often decades older. When she was only 11, she watched her cousin get promised to a 43-year-old man just days after getting her first period. That moment terrified her. She realized that one day, the exact same thing could happen to her. So she desperately tried to delay puberty. She intentionally ate very little because she noticed that the thinner girls in her family tended to develop later. Other girls made fun of her and called her a skeleton, but she didn't care. To her, staying thin meant staying a child for a little longer. Even though she hadn't been married yet, her family was already training her to become a wife. Every Friday, she was forced to spend hours serving food to the men in her family without speaking. If she made eye contact or made a sound, she was punished. She was even forced to handle hot cooking pots to supposedly toughen her hands. Her mother also covered her face with skin whitening cream every night because she believed a girl's appearance determined her value. The girl pretended to accept everything. She smiled, she obeyed, and she even told her family that she was excited about having children someday. But secretly, she was terrified. Then at 14, something happened that changed her entire understanding of the world. One of her teachers noticed how unusually thin she was and asked her to stay after class. During the meeting, the teacher briefly left the room. And when she did, the girl noticed that a drawer had been left unlocked. Inside were books and pamphlets about marriage laws, child protection, and the rights of teenagers. One pamphlet essentially explained something she'd never heard before. Children cannot simply be forced into marriage because of family tradition. She was stunned. For the first time, she realized that what her family called culture could actually be abuse and a crime. She secretly took one of the pamphlets. Over the following weeks, she memorized everything she could. She learned about child protective services, shelters, and mandatory reporters. She learned that teachers, counselors, and doctors could be required to report suspected abuse. And instead of keeping that information to herself, she decided to help the other girls. She secretly gathered 6 younger cousins in an uncle's tool shed. There, she taught them what she learned. They practiced what to say if they ever needed help. "They're forcing me to marry. I'm only 13. Please help me." They whispered those words because they knew someone could be listening. Then, at 15, the moment everyone had been waiting for finally arrived. She got her first period. Her family celebrated. Her mother was thrilled. But that celebration quickly turned into a nightmare. By that evening, her father had already selected her future husband, a much older and extremely wealthy man. And then another cousin from their secret group got her period too. Within hours, she was promised to a man in his 50s. The girl watched the fear appear in her cousin's eyes as the adults discussed her future as if they were negotiating over property. That night, she secretly gave her cousin her notebook. Inside were shelter numbers, legal information, and escape plans. She told her, "Tomorrow, tell the science teacher exactly what we practiced." Her cousin asked, "What about you?" She replied that her own wedding wasn't for another 2 weeks. She would find a way out. But she didn't realize how quickly everything was about to change. That same night, there was a knock at the door. It was Child Protective Services. Someone had reported what was happening. The authorities wanted to speak with the girls under 18. The family immediately became suspicious. They believed someone had been teaching the girls to rebel. They searched the house, and eventually, they found the girl's secret journal. It contained everything: phone numbers, legal information, escape plans, evidence of what she had been teaching the other girls. Her father burned the journal in front of the family and blamed her for corrupting everyone. Then he announced something terrifying. Her wedding would happen the next day. Now she had only hours left. The family planned to dress her in traditional wedding clothes and send her away to a man she feared. And suddenly, the girl who had spent years secretly preparing to save herself and her cousins was facing the very future she had been trying to escape. The story ends at that terrifying moment, with morning approaching and almost no time left. But the biggest lesson is clear. A tradition doesn't become right simply because a family has practiced it for generations. And sometimes, the bravest person in a family is the one who finally asks, "What if everything we've been taught is wrong?"